in the wellness industrial complex, we're always like, I'm not enough. I got to do more. Like, and that is the thing that keeps us in it. And of course, the solution is, spoiler alert, to love ourselves as we are.
Welcome to In Her Words. This podcast is for women navigating through change, career, identity, motherhood, and just figuring out what's next. I'm Roberta Dombrowski, host of In Her Words and founder of Learn Mindfully. Each episode, I sit down with women who are asking big questions, navigating transitions, and trying to make sense of life as it shifts. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need space to be real. Let's get into it. With me today, I have Liza Kindred. She is a writer, spiritual teacher, former fashion tech entrepreneur who walked away from hustle culture to help others return to themselves. She is the author of F This Meditation and offers energy healing and spiritual guidance that blends grounded presence with a sacred connection. Her work is rooted in the belief that we don't need to be fixed. We need to be witnessed, supported, and reminded of our inherent wholeness. Through her teaching and writing, she creates sacred space for transformation that is tender, honest, and a little rebellious. She's currently working on a memoir about healing systemic harm and what it means to reclaim your story on your terms. Welcome, Liza.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love hearing that description because it helps remind me of my place, helps me get grounded to hear that point of view.
I love it. I love what you wrote about yourself too. It's really a little rebellious. I think we'll get into that.
It has to be said.
Yeah. Yes. Awesome. So yeah, would love to dive in. I'm curious, in some of your teachings and writings, I saw that you said that you're retired from ambition. And so I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about what is your journey with ambition then?
Yeah, ambition is such an interesting term, and it's also, my experience of it has been so gendered, like that ambition as a quality is broadly in our culture rewarded among men and is talked about derisively among women. And so it's that whole idea of ambition is, and then of course for a lot of women, it changes with motherhood and it changes with different places in our lives, but me identifying in that way and talking about it like that stemmed from trying to come up with a LinkedIn headline. Oops. I was trying to describe myself, describe my own ambitions. And one of the things that I say to myself, like a mantra or a prayer again and again, is let me be medicine, let me be medicine, to the point where a friend I have designed stickers for me and sent them to me. And so I actually put them up in different places. So I see in my day-to-day life, in my car and in my home, let me be medicine. And that really is my ambition. But that is not an ambition that is made for LinkedIn.
Yes.
And so when I'm talking about retiring from ambition, I'm really talking about retiring from, to the extent that it's possible, retiring from internalizing truly the systems of oppression that keep us in hustle culture, extractive capitalism, and all the systems of supremacy that kind of keep us working hard all the time beyond what our bodies can reasonably sustain. And so really trying to have ambition that's more in alignment with values and goals and a way of being in the world and less in alignment with accomplishment. It's not totally gone. I'm working on a book right now and I keep referring to it as my future New York Times bestseller. So I still do have ambition, but I really am trying to thoughtfully change my relationship with it and kind of reclaim it as being able to identify and have a North Star that is about living in right relationship with other people and not necessarily of getting my own all the time.
Yeah, and it sounds like very heart-led ambition, like you said, guided by values. That resonates a lot versus I talk a lot about internal motivation or external motivation, and usually ambition is external, like title, salary, climbing the ladder. That's what people usually think about versus how do I feel? Do I feel at ease? Do I feel connected to my values? Am I proud of what I've done?
Yeah. Am I moving the world in the direction of a world I want to live in? Those are questions we have to be really intentional about taking a minute to ask ourselves. I love that you're talking about it that way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting because it's like a duality that you're holding both at the same time of being ambitious and being heart-led, and how do they kind of intertwine together too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really is also for me about holding it as a North Star
Yeah.
and holding it kind of gently if I can, because if I start becoming like, "Oh, I actually have to be a benefit to someone every single day or in every single interaction," then I'm going off the rails again. It's
Yeah.
more like,
Yeah.
I wanna generally move in that direction I
Yeah.
if I can, when it's
Yes.
available to me, and, that's really and that maybe too is a different relationship with ambition, where it's like, I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
like, nail that goal,
Yep.
crush it every day. It's more like, all right, if I have the resources to ask myself, what do I want to be doing here, then
Yeah.
I know what direction I want to try to head in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You mentioned going off the rails again, and I'm curious if was there a pivotal moment for you when you went off the rails, when things went
Oh
astray?
my gosh, I feel like I go off the rails all the time. That's, there's a quote from Marianne Williamson, which is a mental breakdown is an underrated method of spiritual transformation. I might have it not verbatim, but the gist is there. The idea that when we actually have these breakdowns, they can become breakthroughs. And so I like when I'm feeling like things are going off the rails to take that as an opportunity to really look at, is this a breakdown? Is it a breakthrough? Is it actually this moment where something dissolves and it leaves room for something new to come? There's all these ways of being with the action and the energy that's moving through our lives. And so that's funny that you noticed that I said that a couple times. It really is a process of like going off the rails again and again and again, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, like what direction do I want to get back on these, to continue to use the metaphor, or do I want to get back on this track, or do I want to go on a different track, or do I just need a break right now?
Yeah, I love the word becoming because I feel like it encompasses a lot of that. It's like you're constantly shedding and becoming someone new, someone different, and
Always.
transforming. Yeah, there's a metamorphosis always happening.
Right, and that can be hard when we are trying to feel like we want to be finished. Like, if we are not able to meet ourselves gently and meet our mistakes gently, we can get to a place where that becomes really difficult. Like, we don't wanna metamorphosize anymore. We're like, "I just wanna be the butterfly." Like, "Why do I keep ending up in this pile of goo?"
Yeah.
And it really is a process that ideally don't ever get away from,
Yep.
because, if we start getting to the place where we're like, yeah, I finished that, then for me
Yep.
at least, I'm someone that always tries to hold the seat of a student and try to always learn and
Same.
acknowledge that if I'm like, oh, I know all that, like, that's a that's going
It's
off the rails.
dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's almost like a guru kind of perspective
Yes,
when you're of the
100%.
student mindset. It's like, no, there's always more to learn. There's always curiosity and things to embrace.
And it's so hard and it's so rare to be able
Mhm.
to hold that space of like continuously learning. Our culture does not reward it.
No, it rewards ego most of the
Yeah.
time.
It is an
Yeah.
act of bravery, I feel like, and almost
Yeah.
like rebellion to be like, "Oh, I don't know."
It's true. It's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Imagine if like so many of our government systems, the people in there actually said, I don't know. What
Right,
a
I'm not
world.
sure. Thank you for
Yeah.
that feedback. I will
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. The world would be in a different place for sure.
Right, radically.
Yeah. One of the things that I've always admired about you is just the number of practices that you've held. You practice Shambhala, Reiki, your meditation teacher. You've done trauma therapy training. And I'm curious, how have you, first of all, come across these practices? And then how do they
Oof.
show up in your work?
Yeah, thanks. Oh my gosh. That really is the embodiment, like the lived reality of trying to hold the seat of the student, is always looking to see what else can I add here? What's interesting? And it's also interesting because I studied Shambhala Buddhism for 10 years, at something like that. And I went pretty far down the path of studying it. And I was starting to have energetic experiences on the meditation cushion during retreats, that when I was asking the meditation teachers, who were mostly men, I was asking them, okay, what am I experiencing? This is really different. Like, no one's talking about this. Their response was always, just keep meditating. Just keep
Yep.
meditating.
Yep. That sounds
And
familiar.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but what is it? Like, what's, and that is how I went to Reiki and energy healing, because
Mm.
I was actually having energetic experiences that I did not have a language or a framework for understanding. And I wanted to understand them. And all of those things have kind of always been gone through that path where I'm like, okay, I'm learning something. And then I
Yeah.
kind of like hit a little bit of a wall where I'm like, well, this framework for understanding doesn't go in the direction that I want to go next. So then I want to pick
Yep.
something up and like go down that. And I try to be really careful, because I think that sometimes that can lead to spiritual bypassing if we're just like skimming
Mm.
the surface of stuff and being like, oh, I did a little training here, a little training there, which I love my little
Yeah.
training. So get me
Yep.
wrong.
Yep.
But I think it's also important to make sure that we're spending enough time in any individual thing and finding some grounding and continuing to be a student, and not saying like, oh, I did a weekend training, now
Yep.
I'm training other people, or or
Yes.
whatever it is. Like,
Yes.
respecting
Absolutely.
the lineages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so interesting. That's the first time I've heard the word spiritual bypassing, but it so resonates
But I'm sure it's
because
not the first time you've seen it.
that's true. That's true. Because I'm similar where I would say it's like adding tools in my tool belt. For me, it started
Love
with
it.
Reiki and then moved into I did MBSR teacher training and then now it's coaching. And so I got to a similar inflection point where I'm like I start questioning things and I want to learn more too. And then I go over there and go over there. And yeah, I remember when I was in higher ed in academia, my professors were always like, be careful with the theories you're trying to combine. And I feel that way sometimes with the tools that I pick up.
I mean, it's a good warning, to be
It
honest. And
is.
I think that one of the things that it can do is be an antidote to the idea that a lot of these different modalities have, that they are the answer to everything,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that there is only positive and no negative outcomes.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
mindfulness is one thing, which I'm, a ton about. There are a lot of people who think that mindfulness meditation is the answer to like literally everything, and that it is like some kind of a thing that has no potential for bad side
Yep.
effects. And
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yep. Yeah.
That's dangerous to treat it that way and think that way. And so I think that being able to have these different perspectives and methodologies and modalities can kind of help keep the other ones in check, where
I
I'm like,
agree. Yeah.
I have a different tool for that. You're like, I have this
Yep.
tool belt, and the only
Yeah.
one you have is like a hammer it's like a giant because you've been studying it for a million
Yep.
years, but it's
Yep.
really a screw.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta have that stuff. I feel like it works together, and it also kind of keeps each other in check. These different
Yeah, I
modalities.
agree. I agree. I'm curious with the all the practices that you've learned over the years. Do you feel like you honor some more today
Oof.
than yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for that question. I feel like that's an important question, because it does change over time. And that is something that for me, historically, I've had discomfort with. Like, oh, if I spent this much time studying Buddhist meditation, I should be engaging in Buddhist meditation for an hour a day. And at this point, I do not. Even as much as I do consider it like foundational and core to my own spirituality and the work that I do, it's like not what I'm needing and wanting right now. And so I'm engaging in other practices. But overall, I do have certain elements that I try to work with and respect and honor, regardless of if there's a specific modality that I'm working with. And I want to do that in my daily practices. And of course, I
Yeah.
want to do it in my work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What work are you working on now? I'm so curious. I feel like you're always someone who's cooking up projects.
It's always cooking something new up in the kitchen, right? That's why I had to like deal with that LinkedIn headline and be like, I don't know. Like, yeah. Well, right now, in the middle of the summer of 2025, I am working on my memoir. And
Yeah.
the memoir is about myself, obviously. It is a lot about I was in the troubled teen industry when I was like the ages of 14 to 17. I was locked up against my will for profit for basically my entire adolescence by a fundamentally religious family who voluntarily put me in the system and turned me over to the state. So the book talks a lot about that. It talks about what that experience was like. And it also talks about what my childhood was like and kind of what came after and how I got from all that to where I am now, which is like a long and fairly complicated journey. And I got to the point, I've been kind of writing a little bit here and there about personal stories for probably 5 years. And this year I was like, it's time. It's time to put this into a book. And so that is really what I'm focusing on this summer, is getting the book finished. What I realized when I have started writing the book, and I'm probably 2/3 of the way through the first draft of the book, so it's moving along really well. But what I realized is I don't feel that I can write about my own personal experiences without also writing about the systems that they took place in. So in addition to being a memoir, this book is also really an exploration of the systems of oppression that we all live in, and how I realized that I was living in them, and how I have been able to, through seeing those systems, find my own healing. Because included in those systems is like the wellness industrial complex, which is another thing that I had to like become a part of and really spend time in before I could see it for what it was. And that has not been an easy thing to do because it was promised as a road to healing and wellness and wholeness. And it's not.
Yep. Yeah. I can relate to that piece, especially I don't know, it's very like MLM when you think about the types of trainings, coaching, meditation, all of those trainings. It does get into a complex. It does get into you need this, you need to progress to the next level, you have to do this. Like,
Constantly.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Absolutely.
there's also this thing that I call the golden cut of in the wellness industrial complex, which is basically that the whole idea is based on the whole industry is based on the idea that we need constant fixing, that we must always be bettering ourselves and upgrading ourselves and working on ourselves. And there is no end. It to me, it's a corollary to planned obsolescence in products, where the products are like we're always going to throw them into the trash and get something new. In the wellness industrial complex, we're always like, I'm not enough. I got to do more. Like, and that is the thing that keeps us in it. And of course, the solution is, spoiler alert, to love ourselves as we are.
Yeah. Yes.
like,
Yes.
like right now, like today, like
Self-compassion.
yes,
Yes.
gentleness, like
Yeah.
loving ourselves. Yeah, like
Rest, easefulness.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All that stuff that feels like cheating
Yeah.
is like actually the solution. Is to just be like, you know what? Like I love me.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, billion-dollar industries would fall. Like the wellness industry, the beauty industry, like all these industries would just like cease to
Everything.
exist.
Probably alcohol industry, everything,
Right.
honestly, with, like, even addictions, like gambling and stuff
Yes.
like that, because 'cause
Right.
they're escapisms, they're
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's so many things that would, if we were just like, no, I love me and oh, I love you too. Which is why that interconnectedness and the idea that we would love each other, like that is so threatening to the systems of power. Like that's why we're being kept divided. That's why it's like there's us and there's them and we're on the other side. And if only they would, it's like that is never going to get us to the place where we love ourselves and each other.
No. I'm curious. I have a lot of clients who I start to introduce them to the concept of self-compassion. Because I have coaching clients, they're like, no, I need to find a new job. I need to hustle. I just got laid off. I need to like immediately find something. And I'm like, no, let's slow down. And it's very foreign. It feels very new to them.
Yes.
I'm curious, how did you get to this place of self-compassion? Like, what was that? Was it a rocky road? Of just
Yeah, I mean, I would say it is a daily practice for one thing, or like a daily challenge, but it definitely, I have benefited from all the different modalities. And I have also benefited, I love that you said this, from slowness, because the body needs slowness to feel safe. And that is a large part of why there is no slowness in our culture. We are intentionally, purposefully kept incredibly busy all the time. Slowness is where we're able to find that connection to self. That maybe is what you're trying to allow your clients to have.
Yes.
It's like taking a beat, but it makes sense that we read it as so threatening, especially for people who have been through traumatic
Yeah.
experiences and for whom overachieving has helped them to get through those experiences,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
myself, where I'm
Same.
like,
Preach.
and it's like to get to this place, because you're like, no, that worked for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that got me out of this place. Like, I don't want to let it go. That is, you really like got right into an incredibly powerful and important and challenging question, is because that for high achieving people, a lot of my clients are high achieving
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
whose bodies have reached a point where their bodies are like screaming
Yep.
for care,
Yeah.
for
Yep.
slowness, for stillness. I had last summer, I had this uptick in clients that were experiencing vertigo physically. And for so many of them, my impression of it was that they were just moving by necessarily, it wasn't like a personal choice they were making, but they were being required to move so fast, so fast, so fast. And their bodies were reaching a point where they were like, sit down.
Yep.
You know, I
Yep.
had a similar experience when I was like my early 20s. I was a single mom, divorced. I was like 23. It was a really challenging time. And I had a business that was failing. I had all this debt, and I developed, I forget the exact name of what the doctors called it, but I just kept fainting. And in retrospect, I realized that that was probably my body being like, you need a rest.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
really do. And those
Yeah.
messages, one of the ways that I've been able to get to a place where I have more self-love and self-compassion in my life has been through the tiniest practices of listening to what I need. Like taking a drink of water when I'm thirsty.
Yeah. And
You
going
know,
for a walk.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting away from your
Yeah.
screens when none of this is always possible. But when it's possible, like when you can go for a walk, do it.
Yeah.
You know, like when you can take your shoes off and put your feet in the grass,
Yep.
do it.
Yeah.
And they are so small, but when we are able to respond to that wisdom in our bodies in little ways, then we can respond to it in bigger ways. And it adds up so much over time. I mean, it literally, like, hug a tree. I love hugging a tree. No one has ever said anything to me about it. I'm always looking around like, does anyone want to discuss this tree I'm hugging?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
being really like radical and like, I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to the earth. Like those kind of things really provide the situations in which those things like self-compassion can develop, because they will naturally
Agreed.
develop, but they have to have the
Yeah.
space, right?
Yeah, it's the space I always say for your nervous system to reset, because that's what the walk is doing. That's what getting away
Yes.
from the computer. Otherwise, it's just compounding, 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 and you're constantly out of the zone of tolerance, and then your body's gonna shut down.
And those things are intentionally designed. We've talked about this so
Yeah.
much, Roberta. It's like those
Yeah.
things are intentionally designed to keep us on the
Safe.
screen, in the
Yeah.
scroll. Like, that's
Yep.
not a
Yep.
personal failing if we're like, I can't pull my phone down. It's like,
No.
that's because it was designed in the lab that way. But we can
Yes.
find moments where we have the capacity and the resources to override
Yes.
and go for a
Yes.
walk.
Yes, exactly. And hug a tree.
Hug a tree, barefoot. You could do it all at once.
You mentioned it within some of your teachings that your life is really dedicated to making transformation accessible to others. And I'm curious, how did you get drawn to this calling? It's such a noble calling. It's such a large calling, especially when we think about the systems at bay designing things in specific ways to keep us distracted and all of
Yeah.
that. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, the approach and the path that I've taken to try to help make these things accessible is really about being honest about the reality of what these practices hold and what they can and can't do, and also like swearing a lot and using humor, and like to me is my way of making things accessible to other people, is not being precious, not pretending like not doing the guru thing, not being holier than thou, and real like I love finding the sacred in the profane. I think it is a remarkable thing when I see other people do that. And I was raised, as I mentioned, in a fundamentalist religious family. And for many years, the idea of spirituality was completely like in that. And I'm like, it was like totally caught up in religion. And I'm like, but that is not for me. That is clearly, as I experienced it, clearly damaging. I
Yeah.
don't want that. And it took decades for me to get to a point where I could be like, I want to learn about spirituality and I want to learn it in my own way and in a way that makes sense to me and is not like proscribed by other
Yeah,
people
you have
with,
your own autonomy and choice around the
yeah,
direction. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And also the ability to walk away,
Yeah. Yeah.
which feels really
Absolutely.
important to me. And you too, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes. I am queen of walking away from things that
It's a
don't.
skill. It's
It
so
is.
good. It's
It
so good to be
is.
able to do
Yeah.
that. I mean, well, as with
Yeah.
everything in life, like, a lot of things could be good or bad, but
Yes.
for so many of us, it's like we end up feeling trapped when we're not. And so I think that idea of being able to walk away is like so empowering, and modeling it for other people is so important.
Yeah. I do have to say it was probably trauma response. Like early years was like running away, like
Sure. Yeah.
flight. I got that. Like I'm
Yeah.
good. And over the
Totally.
years, it's like really digging into that of just like, okay, why do I want to flee? What does it mean? Like even like taking mindfulness of like, I'm not going to flee right now. What is my body doing? Oh, I feel really freaking uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then you're like, where do I feel uncomfortable?
Yes, yes. Is it in my
What?
chest? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
Exactly.
Heat? Does it have a temperature? Does it have a texture? It's like it's not actually like pushing it out. I love that example, Roberta, because it's like those are the things we learn through trauma and might start out as just like responses for shutting down. Like if you work with them skillfully, like you're talking about, they can become like huge allies.
Yes, yes. And now I always describe it like a dial I can turn up or down. It's like, do I want to flee? Like, get in a car
'Cause I
accident,
can.
like lions attacking, dial up, real up,
Right.
like, or
Oh
no,
my
I can
gosh.
dial it down a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah,
I could just
yeah.
know I want to leave and make a choice to stay.
Yes, yes, exactly,
A
exactly.
safe, healthy choice, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm curious, one of the things that I really admire about your work as well is some of the guiding practices that you mentioned. One of them is like, we are complete, just not finished, or anyone who wants to fix you thinks that you're broken. Really, we've talked a little bit about it already around self-compassion. And I'm curious, where are you in your journey with self-compassion today?
I mean, it really depends on the day. Like, I'm feeling pretty good, like, today, but,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
mean, it really changes so much over time that anyone that wants to fix you thinks that you're broken is such a cute, trite, made for Instagram phrase that took me so many years to learn, that I love being able to just say it, like, in such a, like, concise way, because I spent decades thinking that if there was someone who was like, "I can fix you," that they were helpful, that they were acting in my best interest, like, because I believed that I was broken or unwhole. And so that is so intoxicating. The idea that someone can
Yeah.
fix you. Like
Somebody has the answers. Yeah.
yeah. And like the idea that like I could take a pill or, or go on a retreat and then like boom, everything is like that's so compelling. And so there's this whole culture among healers and self-styled gurus. I call it worked for me, so it will work for you culture. Where everyone is like, oh, I did this stuff, it worked for me. Like I know it will work for you, which is like there is so much inherently wrong with that idea where it just like flattens everyone's experience and it's so like ego centered. But I still believed like, okay, that's great. Let me find someone that can fix me. I love it. Cool. But like the more time I spent with it, it was like, oh, this is actually just reinforcing this idea that I'm broken. And I don't think people are broken. I think people are struggling. I think people are having difficult time coping with the world that we live in. I think that there's a lot of times when what the culture of psychology might call dysregulation happens, that it's actually people are regulating exactly right for the situation that they're in.
Yep.
It's not like actually dysregulated. It's actually like fucked up what's happening and you're
Yeah.
trying to deal with
Yep.
it. And so
Yeah.
all these things take away our own relationship with our own inherent wisdom that is spoken so clearly when we're able to listen by our bodies. All that stuff is in there, the wholeness, the idea that we can look to ourselves to help us understand what we need to do next and help us get the things that we need. It's all there. And the idea that like, oh, you got to be constantly upgrading, that's a distraction.
Yeah.
And that's a
Yeah.
lie.
I agree. Yeah. When I was going through coaching certification, one of the kind of guiding principles for the program I went through is you are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And so that always, like, it always resonated with me because, yeah, I always, even myself, I think when I started with Reiki or meditation, I was trying to fix something or deal with the trauma. And it's like, I got to a point where it's like, no, I don't. Like, there's nothing to fix. It's just, I have the wisdom. I can be present. Like,
I love
but
that so
yeah.
much. And I do want people to know that that realization is, which has to happen for everyone individually,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
often does happen as a result of practice and working with these modalities and working with spiritualities. That realization is available. Like if it's not a realization you're able to like have today,
Yeah.
keep working with the practices, keep trusting yourself, keep being gentle with yourself and kind, and that is out there, like that idea of like, oh wait, I'm fine.
Yeah. 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 I'm curious with all of your practices, with the work that you do with clients, what's kind of your relationship with intuition? Because I feel like a lot of the practices that we're talking about, intuition is like a nice friendly companion that comes like
Yeah,
along the
I mean it
journey.
can be if you
Yeah.
trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I that's a good question because all those things, there is intuition and all that. It's interesting. I would say maybe accepting, for me, at least in my experience of it, maybe accepting meditation. Because for me, what I have been taught in meditation has been about like kind of just like letting stuff float past and
Yeah.
like not engaging with it. And to start trusting your intuition, I believe that we have to start actually like meditation helps us to be able to separate the signal from the noise, but we have to like be able to listen and engage with the signals sometimes. I think that's incredibly crucial. I also find that we've talked about our training, and I have found that the more training I have in something, the more I'm able to trust my intuition because I'm like, I feel like I know this, I got this, like I can if I feel like I can rely on my training and I can rely on my experience, then that helps me to pick out those signals in the noise too. Where I'm like, maybe I'm doing a Reiki treatment on someone and I feel called to work with their energy in a way that I don't know what's happening. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. Like I'm gonna see like where it goes. Like I feel good about like my abilities. I always work hard to set intentions before I start working with clients. And I feel like if I've created that container and that space for client sessions, I'm creating it for them, but I'm creating it for me too. And then I'm like, let's get in and see what happens. And I'm really lucky because my clients generally are like really open to trying stuff. Sometimes I have
Yeah.
clients that will be like, I need this today. And I'm like, cool. That is great. Like your intuition is speaking. Like we will 100% do
Yeah.
that. And I love that. Most of the time though, it's like, I don't know, we're just here together. We're going to see what happens. And it could be Reiki. It could be different kinds of energy work. It could be sounds. It could be meditation. Sometimes it's just talking. I shouldn't say just talking because there's a lot that happens there. But the sessions that I do, the one-on-one client sections, are really led by intuition, by both my clients and myself, where it's like, why are we here? Like, what can we do?
Yeah. I love that. It's a true partnership. I always say with coaching, it's like I lean in 100, clients lean in 100%, and then together you find out what is the next right step for the
I love
person.
that.
So,
Yeah, there's so much trust that has to happen when we get into these intimate spaces with people. And that's another training that I'm very glad to have done is about trauma sensitivity and
yeah,
trauma
same,
training, which has
same.
helped so much to like for me to build containers for people in which they can feel safe, not containers in which I'm like, you're safe.
Yeah, yeah.
But in which people actually feel like their
Yes,
nervous system downshift.
yes,
That
yes,
is
yeah.
that's training I recommend for everybody in every field.
I think the thing about it, so I did I did a relational trauma coaching certification, and even part of my MBSR training, we talked about trauma and like signals and stuff like that. I think the thing about it is once you start to go through those trainings, you actually realize that everyone's been through trauma. Like it's a collective experience.
Yes.
And
And
especially like
ongoing too.
and ongoing, like even right now, look at the
Yeah.
world, genocide, all these things happening.
Right.
And it's one of those things, once the light bulb went off, you can see it everywhere. And you're not crazy. It's not strange. Like we're all living through it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that I like so much about my trauma training and my practices in somatic trauma awareness and trying to be trauma sensitive and trauma informed are that they're good for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the things that I might be doing for people who are experiencing trauma or have experienced trauma are fine for people who are just anxious. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's like it's never like I've never had an experience to date where I've done something to try to be trauma friendly where it hasn't been good.
Yeah. I
Because
agree.
everyone's anxious, everyone's stressed out, and those things are just helpful.
Yes. I
Which is why
agree.
I feel like they're good for anyone in any field who
Yeah.
like works with people, anyone that communicates with people. It's just
Yep.
like compassionate communication and like
Exactly.
it's so vital. I
It
love that
really
you had
is.
that in your meditation training because a lot of people don't. I
No, they
didn't.
don't. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like I remember when I took my first meditation class, they do like body scans and you're like witness the body and I'd be like, why am I itching so much? Like I was having like, oh, that was my trauma response to paying attention to different parts of my
Yeah.
body.
Body scan is a really good example of a type of
Yeah.
meditation that has to be used very carefully.
Yeah, and that's the first thing we go into with
That's
MBSR.
wild. That's
Like
wild.
I'm
To
just
me,
like,
that's like
what?
pretty advanced.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
So,
we're all like always engaging with our thoughts, you
yeah.
know? But it's like then to go into the body
Yeah.
first. Brave.
Yes.
That was brave.
Yes. Very brave. But it's like it was really beautiful to understand the signals like oh like pay it when you're watching someone you're listening at a certain level to their energy and like oh are their eyes glazing over or like are you seeing them something's happening okay let me tune in how can I show up and support them and
Which I think can happen in like meetings.
yes
Like
yes
you can really notice like in a
yeah
meeting if there's someone who is like leaving the room,
yes
who
yeah
appears to have left, you know. It's like I
yes
mean the meeting might be boring. That might not be trauma. But I feel like these skills are like, you know, you can start to notice and when you really tune in to your point like it it can become almost, I'm wondering, do you experience this where when you're so keyed into things like those signals and to energy, do you find that being in the world can sometimes be overwhelming?
Every day. Absolutely. I've been finding it. So usually I feel like the last few years I've been okay. I think this year is when it's become very more difficult and more heavy. And that part of the reason also actually why I started the podcast too is that I wanted, like, so much of the world is just heaviness. There's a lot going on. It's overwhelming. I wanted a spot where people could connect and tune in and feel heard. But yeah, I think that it's funny. I was talking to a client earlier today with empathy, because what we're talking about is really like empathy and being able to connect energetically and feel it. It's a strength, but it also, a shadow side can be, we feel things more deeply. We're impacted by the chaos around us and just where the state of the world right now. And why boundaries work, at least for me, has been just crazy. Like, I don't think I could make it through the day without harnessing those skills in some way. And like I can't watch the news. I can't, like, it's too much.
We're not made to watch the news.
No.
I'm not saying we should put our heads in the sand because we
Yeah,
really need
yeah.
to be fighting for what's right
Yes.
now, but like we're
Yes.
not actually made to watch the news. Like it's
Yes.
so it's I love that you're talking about the boundaries. I'm also finding that the last 6 months or so, like a keen need for like protection rituals. That's something that as some of my other ones I've been doing for a long time, I've set aside temporarily to really focus on these protection rituals because I have a theory. Can I share it with you?
Yeah, yeah.
I've and by the way, as we're speaking, I've been on the road for months. I was trying to write my book in Miami Beach where I was living, and I had all
Oh
kinds
gosh.
of like really crazy stuff happening. Like I had all kinds of like vermin infestations and
Oh
locks
wow.
breaking and people trying to break in, and I had someone fall through my ceiling, and it was just like all these things where I was like, something is not right here.
Yeah.
And so I put most of my stuff into storage and I packed up my car and I have been on the road for months, which has turned out to be exactly what I needed to do
Yeah.
because I wanted to get this book written and it's helping me to do that. It
Yeah,
means I'm
yeah.
only meeting with clients virtually right now. But one of the things that I have been learning and what I think I'm understanding, this is my theory that I believe I'm understanding, is that the timeline that we're living in right now is sped up so fast that even when we're given these skills and we're like opening to source or we're opening our
Yeah.
energy, opening our learning, it's happening at such a rapid pace. We're being inundated so much because of this timeline that we're living in,
Yeah.
the state of the world right now, that if we're not doing that boundary setting or the protection rituals, that it can backfire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I hear like virtually all my trainings that I've done, even like with Reiki, it's like you're going to open up to the energy, but
Oh
only
yeah.
good things can happen.
Boundaries
And
are bad for business. It's bad for capitalism because
yes, yes,
because when you don't have boundaries, that's how the system uses you. You work harder. You're there. It's about extraction. And when you put up
100%.
boundaries, you're like shielding yourself
And
from
you're
that.
deciding what you want to
Yes,
give and what you don't want to give.
exactly.
Yeah, I think that a lot of women are naturally empathetic and then
Yeah,
also are socialized to take care of the emotions of others. And I think it's like really important right now that we be talking to each other about ways to protect ourselves and each
agreed.
other. And I think that that's vital for our abilities to like show up right now. I think we got
I
to be like
agree.
shutting down the doors.
Yep. Yep. Saying
Doing the
no is a
protections.
gift. Yeah.
Say no. I've got my altars. I've got my prayers. I went to the hoodoo shops in New Orleans to get as much support as I can. It's like we got to be like we're in really important times right now, and so it's like
Yeah.
crucial that we be taking care of ourselves
I agree. I
and
agree.
be in spaces like the one that you're creating with your podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I so appreciate that. I'm very curious, transitioning a little bit, I think it's related. Um, what's like a big piece of wisdom that you'd like to share for anybody going through transition in their life right now?
I think that to me, the most important thing where we're in these liminal spaces is to know that these are the spaces, these moments of change. Like when the tide goes out, there's this moment they call a slack
Mm,
tide before the slide changes and starts going in the other direction. And I feel like we're kind of culturally in that moment. And then for people who are personally also having that moment, that could be really scary for good
yeah.
reason because we don't know what's going to happen next.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it is an incredibly powerful, potent, important time where we can make decisions with intention and choice about what direction we want to head in next.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
so scary and so cool to be in transition.
It is, and it's yeah, what you're talking about, it's a phase that can give a lot of people anxiety because it's the in between. It's the something's concluding and what's coming next isn't quite there yet, and so you sometimes don't know, especially if what we've been talking about, society, culturally, you're go, 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 go.
Yeah.
It can feel extremely scary, like you're bare, essentially, but it is really powerful for, like, re-envisioning and imagining the future and what's to come and what do you want it to be,
Yeah, and
next.
rare. Like, we don't
Yeah.
necessarily get
Yeah.
a lot of those moments in our lives, and it's,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so potent.
I love that, I love that. I could talk to you for hours, but
Me too!
unfortunately
This is so fun.
it was. How can people connect with you, keep in touch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm on Instagram, Liza, Liza_K, and I swear this fall, I'm gonna start sending out my weekly newsletter again, lizakindred.com/newsletter. It's actually awesome. It is
It
not a
is, it
sales
is.
newsletter. Thank you. It's like I just send out stuff that I think is cool and, like, sometimes some stuff that I'm doing, but it's really about, like, what's interesting and, like, what's inspiring, and it is more like a community than a newsletter. There's a lot of dialogue that happens there, and so I would love if people wanted to join up with that, and then I also do if people are interested in one-on-one healing, I do, virtual sessions right now, and eventually, when I decide where I'm gonna live again, I'll be doing them from there too. I also have on holyshift.co, I have a bunch of different resources, different classes, including free classes, meditation scripts, and things like that that people can download.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you for
Yeah,
creating this space, and congratulations on an amazing podcast.
thank you. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode landed with you, feel free to pass it along to someone who might need it too. You can leave a review, subscribe, or just keep tuning in. We're figuring it out together. And remember, your story, your voice, your becoming, it all matters.